All right, we should be good to go here. I went ahead and went live on. Okay, so, both. Tis both. We got 3 minutes till we're on the air.
Yep. Should I summarize our conversation?
No. No, now that we're focused, that never happened. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be hearing me just fine. Okay, welcome in. We're getting you ready for the opening of the legislative session.
No, but I do think French bread is far superior to all breads.
Oh, yeah, but what else have they done? Fries?
Fries, I mean, that's a strong one.
Yeah, it's a good play. It's a solid play.
I'm thankful for Jacques Cousteau.
I mean, are you, though?
That's like 100 years ago. But yes, I love that.
You love diving, but he didn't do that. He was one of them. Taking credit for, I'm sure there were millions of Americans before Jacques Cousteau.
No, he was the one that popularized.
Back when they, just the same way that they invented democracy. We invented democracy. That wasn't the Greeks, but we invented democracy, though. No, it wasn't the Greeks.
Better than a muffalata?
It depends on the po' boy. I don't know. Also depends on the muffalata. So, yeah, just a hot roast beef.
The hot roast beef. I don't know if that's better than the muffalata.
That's a good question.
Better than an oyster.
Yeah. Leave Centrals and go to Deanie's. Right?
I don't know, man. Central. Something about it.
For the hot roast beef, sure. But for the fried oyster, I don't know. You don't beat Deanie's when it comes. Deanie's is the go-to for the seafood. Hey, John, am I going to hear the open?
Yeah, I could get it to where you could.
Yeah, open and just the open and the rejoins, if I could hear those. Because I know I want Moon to hear the rejoins. He's not in yet, but I want him to hear the rejoins because they were written specifically for him.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, if
no
I
problem.
can hear the open, that'd be awesome.
Yep, not a problem.
Getting a little worried. Kim hadn't found his way yet.
I got one more in there. What is this stuff talking to?
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I didn't hear the open.
Let's see.
Don't sweat it now. Just tell me when to go.
All right, go ahead.
Welcome aboard, everybody. Today is opening day of the legislative session. Brian Haldane here with you. Moon Griffon is going to be joining me shortly. He was actually broadcasting from a different room and has to break down his equipment and then meet me up here. Today is opening day of the 2025 regular legislative session, and we are broadcasting from the belly of the beast, and I do mean the belly at this point. We're coming to you live from inside the governor's conference room on the 4th floor. They call it 4.5 because you do have to go up half a flight of stairs to get in here. But we are nestled away within the Capitol to bring you our coverage, walking it up to the governor's address, the State of the State address that kicks off the legislative session. Now, technically, the session itself will open in an hour. Things will be gavelled in and actually convene at noon. That first hour, going to be a lot of doling out of bills going towards different committees and whatnot. You'll find out what's going where. A lot of that's already just a matter of formality. A lot of that is pomp and circumstance. At 1 o'clock, you will have the opening prayer, of course. I'm sure we'll sing the national anthem. and then the governor's got his speech coming your way. Now, this is not just a speech to kick off the legislative session. This is the de facto state of the state address, right? Now, we've heard from the governor a lot in recent months as he was doing the speaking tour around the state promoting Constitutional Amendment number 2. Well, honestly, promoting all 4 constitutional amendments, but Constitutional Amendment number 2 was the big one, the linchpin, if you will, of the spring election. That came up short. So if you were at, let's say, the Rotary Club a couple of Wednesdays ago, today's speech is going to be a lot different. If you were at like the Kiwanis Club in Monroe, Louisiana, today's speech is going to be a lot different. If you were anywhere along the way where the governor had speaking engagements, what you're going to hear today is going to be tweaked a good bit. Now, that being said, I can tell you that I've heard from a couple of different folks, it's not going to be a short speech. We're going to have about an hour's worth of the governor addressing the state to get us ready for the legislative session. So within that, obviously, one of the bigger topics is going to be how do you patchwork and go back and fix everything that Constitutional Amendment number 2 would have fixed for us? How do you go back and find this piecemeal, I'll take a bite here, a bite there, and then eventually have yourself a full meal that reworks things to where our state legislature can get things moving again? That's going to be a big part of the speech for sure. Another big part of the speech, obviously, is going to be insurance reform. Hang on, let me stop right there. Let me just clarify 100%. I have heard from sources that it is a lengthy speech. Anything involving content of said speech is my speculation, because these are the big items that we've been talking about leading up to the session. No doubt they will be the items that kick off the session with the governor. So insurance reform is going to be a big deal. Whether you're talking about new laws for lawyers, which there's going to be plenty of pushback right there, that is going to be a big deal. Whether you're talking about new laws for insurance companies, whether you're talking about new standards that Tim Temple's going to have to follow as the insurance commissioner, all these things will be contained within the state of the state address. I can tell you, coming up in our very next segment, State Representative Kim Carver from Mandeville is going to join us. He's got a bill that, as it was described to me before, is kind of a reworking of a previous bill that Heather Cloud had pushed through, talking about what lawyers can and can't say in their advertising. I'm curious to hear the background on that, what that's actually going to look like as plays out in real time. We're going to hear about education from the governor. We've known from the start that with this governor, education is an absolute priority with him, up to and including him being the son of a teacher. He made big mention of it in his inaugural address, and he has been making mention of it ever since, giving teachers a permanent pay raise. We've had 2 years worth of $2,000 stipends. Where
I always wanted to be on
wait,
TV.
wait. Let's get you some volume here.
I always wanted to be somewhat on TV. Brian, good to see you,
Moon
brother.
Griffon's in the house. We got Moon in with us. I was just kind of setting the table right there. Before we get into anything, you pack up your equipment quickly, my man. That was fast.
I really didn't know what time you were starting.
Uh-huh.
And I had conned 2 chocolate chip cookies before, so I'd have a little energy with you.
They got chocolate chip over there?
No, hey, I heard at 12:30 when they leave, we can go over there and eat something.
All right. Yeah, no. I need to do that because they got a set with coffee, but that's about it.
Coffee got you a little bit of a bit of kick in it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Brian, it's been interesting. I know you've been following it, but just because I've had 2 hours and you had 2 or 3 hours before me,
yeah,
it kind of set everything up. It's curious to see, all optimism going into a session.
Right.
And as I told some of them, the happiness is leaving the session.
Well,
once it's done, it's done. So that's all I was saying. But there's some optimism. But I got to tell you, that's just not by the people that were with me. There's also some concerns that some of this could really get ugly. And I'm talking about insurance probably more than anything. The second thing is these guys got to do is worry about a budget, because I don't really know what President Trump's cut or not, but I know if federal money starts getting cut, I've been saying this for 30 years on the air because I've watched us get more federal. When Bell Edwards came in, we became the state of the federal government.
Right.
And that's never slowed down, and that worries me.
It does, and we've grown quite the dependency over the years.
Yep.
And I think Senator Kennedy was the one that's always said it best. He says, federal dollars like crack cocaine, and we're a bunch of junkies. And he's been spotted. That's like at least a decade-old quote now, and he's been spot on ever since. Because
when Edwards came in, and I know people say, "Well, you didn't like Edwards." I don't know the man. I just met him a little bit. I watch what they do.
Right.
And he wanted higher taxes. He got them. He wanted Medicaid expansion. He got it.
Yeah.
I even think Jeff's budget expands Medicaid by 1.6 million.
Yeah.
Now, most of that's federal money. I get it, but still another 1.6 million expansion. So you that dependency, man, just grows and grows. And so half the budget now, 20 billion of it, whatever it is, 21, whatever it's the budget. So you really are dependent on the Fed saying, okay, here's a check. And that, to me, that's the dangerous level to be in my opinion.
Interestingly enough, the way you started off was saying they're going to have to battle insurance, but they've also got to do a budget. I think
those are the big things.
Okay, yeah, no. But I would reverse the order on that, because regardless of what happens on insurance, they've got to do a budget.
That's a good point.
That has got to be priority number one, no matter what, which is why I'm always worried that when insurance is not its own special session, when insurance can be tabled to handle some other stuff, that has me worried from the start.
But this would be my question to you, is that what do you think is going to affect people more, insurance or the budget? I think it's insurance. I think it's insurance, because if insurance hits everybody at home,
it does.
The budget may not affect my budget at my house because of what I do for a living, because I'm not dependent on federal or state money.
Their constitutional obligation is to have a budget hammered out. That is job number one. They are running afoul of the law. If they table everything on insurance, well, we're still screwed, but they're fine. So
well, they're going to have to balance the budget. I'm just the dependency level that we put our state in ought to be a concern to people. That's all I'm saying. It ought to be a concern to people.
We are off and running. All right, here's what we got going on, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, State Representative Kim Carver is going to join us. When you talk about those insurance bills, he's got an interesting one, to say the least, when it comes to advertising. On top of that, we'll break down everything else that Representative Carver is proposing. That's coming up next. He's Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. You are listening to our countdown to the speech. The speech, yeah, because it opens an hour before the speech. You're listening to your legislative pregame on Talk 107.3.
All right, you clear?
No, you're good. Come on over. Where you want me? That seat right there. Yep.
You got anybody 11:45?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. She come put on to the break. Yeah. Whatever that is.
Well, does she want to do 11:45 or does she want to do in the 12 o'clock hour?
Just want me to say, ask her. You want me to ask her?
She asked for 11:45. Yeah. Then she gets 11:45.
Well, you can always keep it.
Yes, we will.
That's okay.
The one, Brian?
Yeah. Thank you, Bo. I appreciate it.
Brian, y'all do this to kick off every session, or this is new?
So we started it last year. Imagine that we got edit access after somebody left and somebody moved in. 8 years
of the wilderness.
Right.
Oh my God, man! I tell you, Brian. So I told you about we have to have some fun with this. I thought about all this insurance. Look, hey, when I tell you, look at it, it looked like the whole way. It looked like an electric vehicle. Looked like I had no engine in the front.
Damn, no, man. That gutted it.
I never seen, well, on the bright side, Brian. Look, I did some of this. I did some of this. That's 3 pounds.
That's nice.
That was a 4. This one here is 4.5. So I did catch a few fish.
That's good.
My wife said, I can't believe you didn't forget fishing, go take care of your truck. I said, my truck was fine.
As long as it runs, you're fine. Hey, John, how we looking?
We're good. Got about 2 more minutes to.
All right, 2 more minutes.
He said, boy, you were lucky when you didn't have big twins. She knows my sister-in-law was a twin to my wife. I said, tell him, boy, you were lucky when I heard that.
She lives in my district.
She what?
She lives in my district.
Oh, no kidding.
And she's a vendor. Run HR at our bank.
Okay.
One of the things, and she's our broker for all of our health insurance.
As a matter of fact, she might be in Lafayette today.
Really?
That's fun.
She's so great.
She has mentioned you several times.
What's your district map? What parts of it?
Mandeville's Madison.
all of Mandeville and Madisonville?
All of Mandeville, and all of Nashville, a little bit of unincorporated Covington, but nothing north of I-12.
John
so I
Kennedy
don't
is
have
your,
the, he's
John
in
Kennedy
my,
your constituent.
him, Will Crane,
Schroeder.
Richard Nelson, Schroeder lives up in Mark Wright.
Okay.
He's in
I
Covington.
thought he was in Madisonville.
Boy, they had a lot of people pounding on Nelson after this.
So like
Pounding on.
Chifuncta Country Club?
Structures like the very north.
Y'all about ready?
Western tip. Yeah, that's the last neighborhood I have.
Okay.
You know, because the interstate's right after that.
Yeah. It goes Chifuncta, and then they got that school.
Natchez Trace and Christ Episcopal, and then it's, you know,
Christ Episcopal. Christ Episcopal was in Old Covington when I was growing up. You hear the rejoin. 11:18, talk with us on the 3FM WPRP. John, did we miss the rejoin? All right, we'll catch you on the next time.
Oh my God! You had something especially for me?
Just for you, Moon. We cut a rejoin. Just for you. I tell you what,
This is gonna be interesting.
we're gonna have some fun with it in the next hour for sure. Right now, we got business to attend to. State Representative Kim Carver from Mandeville is in with us. I'm just learning Mandeville and Madisonville,
Madisonville too.
because Madisonville is not yet big enough to have its own.
He's got Senator
Legislator.
Kennedy as a constituent.
That's got to be a
Because
hoot.
boy, the phone call from him probably don't get you excited. Huh?
He does. He was actually very helpful in my race. I knocked on his door, as a matter of fact.
Oh wow!
And
Okay.
so he cut a little spot for me during the campaign and talked about the fact that I had knocked on his door, that I was out there.
Did
burning
he
up
answer?
shoelace.
Or was his
I talked
bride?
to his wife. He
Okay,
he
okay,
was in
okay.
DC.
Yeah, but that's pretty good. That's pretty
No,
good.
it is. It was a lucky strike.
Could be worse. You could be Mia Bronze. That ain't nearly fun.
So the well, look, I'm in Vanessa LaFleur's district, so
I'm in Julie Emerson. I give a hell.
See,
I
yeah,
call
you
her
do.
Junk Mail Julie
Yeah.
because the last time she ran, might have not been last year, but the time before that, the mail pieces for her, and it wasn't just her; it was all the things
Oh.
coming in, and I got sick of it, so I took pictures of them. It was just stars on them. I said, if I get one more piece, I'm voting against you.
All right, Kim Carver's with us. Among all the bills that are getting tossed around or distributed as we in the next hour or two, you've got one. I believe it's 4:30.
It's it. You
Okay.
got it.
So what we're talking about right now is what lawyers can say and can't say
That's
in
right.
their advertising. Tell us all about this bill, how it got started, and where you plan on going with it.
Yeah, well, as you know, Brian, I'm not on house insurance,
Right.
But I have been part of this insurance work group that's really worked all through the summer
Mhm.
to really put together a package of bills, almost every solution that we could possibly have to bring relief to the people
Yep.
of Louisiana, we were going to put on the table. And so I got added to that group and I started working with them on it. And this bill idea came up and I started doing the research. It's actually a bill that Senator Heather Cloud ran in 2020.
Mhm.
It passed both the House and the Senate in 2020, but it was vetoed by Governor John Bel Edwards.
Well, that was a surprise.
Yeah,
huh?
surprise there. But really, the impetus of it is not to limit free speech. A lot of people keep talking about the fact that, oh, well, this bill is not constitutional because you can't tell lawyers what they can and can't say. This isn't a limitation on what they can say. This is a bill to say if you say something that is unfair, deceptive, and wrong, you can be subject to the Unfair Trade Practices Act in Louisiana, which is actually enforced by the Attorney General. And so it's like a second tier of regulation and checks on advertising. The Attorney General already oversees business practices like this. So this is not telling lawyers how you practice law. The Supreme Court and the Bar Association handle the discipline of attorneys. This is dealing with the business side of a law firm. They're advertising to say what you say is subject to the Unfair Trade Practices Act in our state.
Let me see if I can pick this up and run with it in layperson's terms real quick. If I'm advertising a fried chicken joint and I tell you got free fried chicken tomorrow, but I don't tell you have to buy 12 pieces before you get that one piece for free. This is on a
That
similar
could be
basis.
misleading.
So
That's right.
yes, that would be very
That's right.
misleading.
And-
Now, if you've got somebody standing in front of a camera saying, I got a check from my wreck, what they don't tell you about is the amount of that check versus how much goes to the person who got the wreck versus
See,
how
I
much
was going to say the same thing when somebody gets, I got $2 billion from my
Mhm.
customers. That's a big lie.
That's right.
Because if you got $2 billion, that means you probably made 4. That's not true.
Yeah, you've seen it over and over and over in this space, right?
Right.
And it's not just billboards, it could be television, radio, digital, but you'll see somebody say, X attorney got me $1 million. Well, we know that the judgment might have been $1 million, but after court fees,
Right.
Attorney cut, and their contingency fees from it, you got a $22,462 check.
Right.
And so we want you to say that.
That's exactly right. And it gets so one of the things when I first heard about the bill, one of the things I was worried about was are we limiting speech?
No.
The same way that you would ask that question if it were political speech, right?
Uh,
But when I actually read the bill, I got so fired up because my biggest passion on this is y'all can do whatever you do here, but breaking that jackpot justice mentality has got to happen in order for y'all to get anywhere. And this bill in particular does that over and over again. Because if you pull back the curtain, like let's say you watch, I'm gonna lose both of y'all here. All right. Let's say you watch, let's say you watch Jersey Shore on MTV, right? You see all the partying.
I'm lost.
What's
Hang on.
that?
All right. But you see all the partying going on a Saturday night. What you don't see is all the hangover on a Sunday morning.
Good point.
All right. You pull back that curtain and say, yeah, I got $1 million. And then I cut check after check after check to pay court fees, pay attorney fees, pay all this. When you show me what I'm left with, that's the Sunday morning hangover that we need to expose it to.
Yeah. And Brian, it really goes to the point that it's a cultural issue here.
Yes.
Right. Like,
Oh.
and we're trying to get to that. Like, how do we, when you have an accident, the first person you think of calling is the person whose name is stuck in your head because you've heard so many, jingles over the last 24 hours.
Literally the person you look up and see on the billboard.
Instead of calling your insurance agent.
I got to tell you,
your family.
and Brian's gonna make fun of it, but I hit 2 deer Friday.
Oh, wow.
Blew my truck up. First person I called was Jesus.
That's right.
I was driving with a deer ran out. I went,
Good for
oh,
you, man.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was too late. It was over. Boom, boom. So I see how people get hurt and get killed. I mean, it was that quick. And Brian, the only thing I did call, since I stayed with a lawyer, I said, can I sue the deer, the wildlife fishery, the parish? I said, my truck. I'm joking to say this. How is this any different? I'm just curious. And it's probably going to be 2 set of rules, Tim. And you may not know this. If you don't, it's okay. But advertisement in political elections, the exaggeration of being able to take one little line of something somebody said not out of context and put it in advertisement. How's that any different than what they're doing on the billboard?
Yeah, well, look,
is there a big difference, or one a totally different set of rules?
This is completely separate. I mean, this is just taking, again, the Supreme Court and the Bar Association are responsible for the discipline of attorneys. So we're not weighing into that. If we did, that would be a constitutional issue.
So would the other one be a federal election commission?
Yeah,
maybe. Okay,
exactly. Because but this is an attorney's the business side, right? Their marketing, and so all of us as the public and our potential clients. And so this is the business side of their practice, and what they have to say in that business side in their marketing has to be true, and it can't be deceptive. And that's all we're asking for is truth in advertising.
Right.
Let me go back to something you said. Got $1 million, you end up with $22,000.
Yeah.
Once again, going back to my attorney. This weekend, we just had a big conversation. He said, advertisers was causing this. I said, explain that. And he doesn't advertise. He said, Moon, you got people that are 2 house notes behind or 2 truck notes behind. They're making a living, but they're starting to struggle. And he just said the advertisement makes it sound like, hold up, I got hit by a big truck.
It's a panacea.
All of a sudden you're thinking, man, because of what they're watching, man, maybe I can't get $1 million, but maybe I can get $300,000.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're talking to a lawyer and they say, we can get you $300,000. And all of a sudden we got a lawsuit. That right there, he thinks that's making people really want to sue because everybody wants this ship to come in. Maybe it won't be $1 million, but maybe they'll get 50,000 or 100,000. But that will help somebody who's in a financial jam.
Well, and look, I've been listening all morning. Y'all have talked to a lot of the bill authors that have worked on this package that we're running. And the critics of this bill and others have been, well, can you directly, correlate the fact that we have attorney advertising that might be deceptive or misleading is going to actually, if you pass this, it's going to lower rates. On its own, it may not. But when you add all of these together,
right,
you're really going to go after, what is by and large the greatest problem that we're facing, right? Brian, it's people in the grocery store, it's people at church, it's my neighbors who walk over in the evening. Every single place that we go in our districts, people are talking about it. And the side of the state where I live, you can drive 20 miles and relocate your business. If you have a truck delivery company or a tow truck company and you have a fleet of 10 trucks, you can drive 20 miles, set up shop in Mississippi with the same risk, still driving to the same clients and pay half. And your business
our insurance laws are basically Diamond Head's Chamber of Commerce is what that is.
Yeah,
it makes Diamond Head look really more beautiful than the Silver Slipper, to be sure.
We were on our way into church a couple of weeks ago, and one of the greeters at our church talks to my 3 daughters. My youngest is 12, and he said, "Hey, Susie, what's up?" She said, "Insurance premiums." I said, "She's been listening to her dad on the phone."
Wait till she gets to 16.
In every conversation we have, she doesn't know what an insurance premium is, but she knows they're too high.
All right, you said something here that kind of triggered me a little bit, and I want to make sure we have time to follow up on it. And if we don't get to the rest of the bills that you got pushed,
We've got time. I'll be back.
No,
long.
I got summoned, so I may let you. Can you stay a little bit longer?
Well, we got time for a break. I want to ask this question about: will this bill lower insurance rates? And you said the answer probably is no, but you got to look at things in the aggregate. You got to look at the whole package of bills. So you're doing battle with attorneys. Attorneys know how to argue.
Mm-hmm.
How do we argue back to make sure that they can keep their eyes? Everybody keeps their eyes on the ball. That this is about the whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
Well,
good point.
The language is narrowly tailored.
Yeah.
Right. To say you have to tell the truth.
Right.
And if you don't, you're going to be subject to the Unfair Trade Practices Act that's already in place.
Right.
We're not asking you to do anything that any other business, would have to do.
Every other business has a buy one, get one free. They have to include the buy one. We're just including the get one free. That's where we're at right now.
That's right.
What else are you working on?
I have a number of items. One that I'm really excited about, and it's just from a passion project, a personal project with the work that my wife and I have been involved in through our life in foster care and adoption. There's a bill by my seatmate, Representative Barat, to take some of the family support, and I think she's been on, to talk about those things with you at the Pelican Summit, to take and move those things, support that people need to help them get back into the workforce, overcome barriers to the dignity of work. They're going to move those out of the Department of Children and Family Services and into the Louisiana Workforce Commission.
What?
Yeah, it's called One Door. It's a great concept.
Yeah. We've been talking about One Door on a number of different levels
for a long time. Well, I'm carrying the bill that's going to take what's left at DCFS, which is our child welfare agency, and put a lot of new paradigms in it to say we're going to aspire to be the very best child welfare agency in the country. I'm going to be honest with you, there aren't many states that are doing child welfare very well, right?
Yeah.
The state is not or should not be raising children.
Right.
So
and look, DCFS doesn't exactly have the best resume under their belt already. So anything that can lighten their load and let them focus.
We're going to work to reconstitute it and set out some aspirational markers to say, these are the things that we want to become and achieve with this. Not that it'll happen when the governor signs the law or when the bill passes, but this is where we're going, and we're going to be the very best child welfare agency in the country.
Love to hear it. He is State Representative Kim Carver from Mandeville. All right, the table's set now. You got to be visiting with both of us as the session rolls on.
I look forward to it. I'm here, man. I'm here for the next 2 months.
Good stuff.
And make sure you tell my sister-in-law she lucked out. She didn't marry me.
I sure will.
Thank you.
All right, we are due up for a break right here. It's 11:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. When we come back from that break, we're going in one of two directions. We're supposed to have State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter on, but I believe we might have had a different call.
No, I'll tell you what it is. Let's bring him on.
Okay.
You're going to need him. You might lose me for 5 minutes. I might go get my rear end chewed out, but that's what we'll do.
All right, let's break it right here. We're coming back. He's Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. This is your legislative pregame show on Talk 107.3.
Hey, right here, Brian. No, that was
all right. You're clear.
Thanks. We're going to step away for a quick second, y'all. So we're back on air. We're not advanced enough on remote to get away from Facebook. It's
Okay.
either we're on or we're off. So I just kind of mute them every once in a while. So make sure we're all in frame too. Yeah, we're good. Nice open
Got less
space
than a
down the
minute,
middle.
Brian.
Say again.
You got less than a minute.
All right. Look, I'm gonna have Cade email me those rejoins. So you do you to make sure the on-air broadcast is tight. I want to let him hear them though. I wanna let Moon
'cause
hear 'em.
I did.
Not
Yeah,
in play.
I played-
We heard the music. We didn't hear the rejoin.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I even double checked with him, make sure it was the right the right rejoin.
No, you're all right.
Let's see how this.
Moon Haldane, live from the Capitol for opening day of the 2025 legislative session on Talk 107.3.
We are counting down to the opening of the legislative session. Things get underway officially. 23 minutes from right now, the gavel will strike and this thing will be open. But unofficially, we don't really get rolling until the governor hits the podium at 1 o'clock-ish. I say ish because, well, traditionally governors have lagged on that one from time to time. Prayers run long, that sort of thing. We will be carrying the governor's opening address. Side note, a little background information here, or a little scuttlebutt in the hallway. It's long. Buckle up.
I heard you say that earlier.
If you got to go ahead of time. Because once he starts, he ain't stopping for a good little while. But we're going to have it for you here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, we are joined right now. Okay, let me give the backstory here. Moon had to step aside for a segment. I guess we could say he's kind of been called across the fourth floor.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I hear he's on the other side of the fourth floor right now. For those that know the state capitol, they know whose offices are on the fourth floor. The governor. Joining me right now is State Senator Caleb Klein. Peter, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to join you. I'm glad today is finally here and that we can get this session kicked off.
Let's start right there.
Okay.
Today is finally here. Work didn't start today. Y'all don't just show up on opening day and, start writing things. The deadline for pre-filed legislation was what, 2 weeks ago, a week ago?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. You got a lot of work goes in before that as well. Talk to me a little bit, before we get into your bills, talk to me a little bit about the work that goes in behind the scenes to build everything out to get us to today.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's almost a full-time position. My Senate district is one of the largest in the states. It touches 10 parishes, and I go from St. Helena all the way to Opelousas. And over 50% of my district is in the Point Capee, Iberville, and West Baton Rouge. So, you have 10 parish presidents, 10 sheriffs, 26 municipalities, and you have somebody that reaches out to you almost on a daily basis for something. And whenever I see the tours going on here at the Capitol, I like to talk to the young children and I ask them, any kind of questions. And they say, how does a bill work? And I say, well, first it comes from somebody that has an idea. So
right.
We have a lot of ideas. This year is a fiscal session. So it's, we can only have 9 fiscal bills. And we actually have a bill that's going to address that this year, that next year or 2 years from now, hopefully we can bring 7. It's just not, I don't feel like it's fair to us as senators with larger districts that have so many different areas to limit it to 5 bills.
Interesting. You want to go up on that?
Yes, I have a note in my phone in my notes for 2026 session because I already have bills that I could not carry on this session.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm curious to see how that plays. More laws from the lawmakers. Let's see how that works out. No, I'm sure once we get into it, you'll put together your argument the right way.
Right.
So that being said, you do have your bills filed for this session. One of the things that is clearly noticeable, you're addressing congressional maps.
All right.
Talk to me about the process there. Well, no, let's start with the why on that one first.
Okay. So right now, I think it's at the Supreme Court level. We don't know what's going to happen. We didn't want to get caught off guard just in case if they do shoot the map down, the congressional map that we voted on January, I think.
Yeah.
If it's unconstitutional, it depends on how they view it as far as what's the next step. They're either going to send it to a panel to redraw or they'll kick it back down to us and we will redraw it. So I wanted to have a placeholder bill if we needed to redraw it as a legislature.
Okay. How much redrawing, and we're not going to have another census in between now and then, but how much unexplored territory has there been when it comes to the possibility of maps?
It was a hot topic last year. I
Yeah.
can't remember which district we're going to cut out. I don't know. We're going to have to sit down at the same table and see what's best for Louisiana.
Because there were alternate maps out there that
Yes.
would have, but to keep a second majority minority district, this thing had to be created. And I got to tell you, it's a mess.
Yeah.
It is the definite. If you look up gerrymandering in the dictionary, they will send you right to
I think it's
us.
very similar to the one that was voted on 20 years ago.
That was eventually ruled unconstitutional.
Correct.
Yeah, it's so seeing how this one plays out. Is there a way to follow inside the process to know what the court's going to say? Because I mean, they're supreme, so they do what they do.
Yeah, I don't know. We're waiting on their verdict on it, so we'll go from there.
If it goes the other way, if it goes to the 3-judge panel, what happens to your bill?
I don't. They'll redraw the map themselves.
So nothing, basically.
It's just a placeholder bill unless it comes back down to us.
All right,
And they might redraw it as the old one.
which would be amazing.
We shall see.
I mean, it would be really amazing to see me just to watch the process play itself out to where all this movement had to be made. And I know, like, I'm not taking it personally, but I lost my congressman in this mix.
Yep. And look, Garrett and I had a great Congressman Graves and I had a great relationship. Unbelievable. I hated to see him go. He was probably one of the hardest workers there. Anytime I would call him, he'd either answer, he'd text me, or his chief of staff, Paul Sawyer, would step out and say, "Hey, Congressman just said that you need to get in touch with us." And I mean, it was unbelievable. So I hated to see him go. He won't talk about politics for 6 months, and I respect that. He was up there in that rat race for 10 years, and he needed to just take a break to see where he goes from here.
Be a husband and a dad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's job number one in life anyway.
Great
So,
guy.
yeah. But I don't think we fully realize what we lost.
I know what we lost.
Yeah. I'm just
and I'm not. This has nothing to do with Congressman Fields. Look, Cleo
Nope.
and I have a great relationship. I'm forming a relationship with his staff, and I reach out to them often, and they work hard for us as well. So I had a really good relationship with them in the Senate, and I knew we were going to continue that relationship.
Meanwhile, the Amy River Basin Commission, they got themselves a workworkhorse. Some of the unintended consequences of Paul Sawyer moving on, but he's going to do good things in his new role too.
I can still contact him. He still works for free.
So can I. Yeah. No. He's one of the good ones to be sure. In fact, I would probably credit him with a good chunk of what Garrett got done along the way.
I always tell people whenever they call my office and they don't want to discuss anything with my staff, and then they call me, and I say, "Well, did you talk to my staff?" And they're like, "No, I want to talk to you." It's the women and men behind the scenes that get everything done. We're just the face of that the people elect.
100%. We got State Senator Caleb Klein-Peter in with us for a couple more minutes. Okay, we got to talk about, you have two bills that look like they're headed towards Senate insurance. One of them involves retired employees for the district attorney's offices. I don't know
That
what
one's
that's
simple.
about.
So district attorney, one of the best ones in the state, Tony Clayton, he passed recently a sales tax that fully funded his office versus each parish in that 18th JDC used to have to pay for insurance and benefits. So West Baton Rouge would pay a portion, Iberville would pay a portion, and Point Capee. The agreement was that if this tax passed, the sales tax passed, then they would do away with it and they would fund everything underneath the sales tax. So with that being said, there are employees that have worked enough years to be able to retire, but they won't receive if they're at 59, they won't have the insurance paid for until they get to Medicaid at 62. So they would have had it taken care of anyway. We're not adding anything to it. So the insurance that they were previously under would have covered that gap between the age of retirement to the 62 anyway. We're just making it law.
This isn't about the what, it's about the how.
It doesn't cost the state any money. This comes out of the sales tax.
All right. Well, then let's move on to Senate Bill 230, which provides relative to recovery of past medical expenses. What's that about?
I think it's probably one of the better insurance bills this year. So, not being an attorney, I'm still learning the bill, but what it is it deals with the, if you get into an accident, Brian, and you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, some trial attorneys send you to doctors that do not accept insurance. It's a build out is what it is. So what this does is the total amount is what is in the court system. Total amount billed out versus what's paid out. And so I have a chart right here, and I know the public can't see it, but this is the total amount, and I like visual things, the total amount billed out. So you have ambulance, hospital, emergency physicians, orthopedic, so on and so on. So let's just say the total amount billed is $38,000.
Okay.
The insurance payment comes out to $4,156, and the write-offs are $28,000, and then the payments paid by the plaintiff is this much. But this is what is talked about, is the $38,000,
Right.
not the total between this and this, which comes out to $9,900. So
Okay.
this is what is sued on, the $38,000 versus the $9,900.
So when you take the number that shows up in a courtroom, when the plaintiff's attorney says we need $38,000 to make us whole, the truth of the matter is that plaintiff is only out of pocket a good $5,800 according to this, according to the breakdown. What would be paid back to the plaintiff to make them whole is what they lost, not what was built.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Why is that not the way?
You tell me.
I don't. This is I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is these are one of the many battles. All right. So this is going to get a lot of pushback for sure.
Yes, it is.
This is going to, you're going to have a fight on your hands, but
Yes.
you're going to have support behind you as well.
Oh, yes.
So how are things looking right now? I know it's too early for any kind of web count or anything, but what have your calls and texts leading up to the opening of the session told you?
Honestly, it's flying low, and now you're bringing it to above the radar. And look, it's what we sign up to do. I'm sure phone calls will start coming in, but I have not had any phone calls from either side, which is good. But it's look, I'm not a trial attorney. I'm not an attorney at all. I do know that we have an insurance crisis, and I think that this will help with the situation. If you don't have insurance, it's going to be to recover the lesser amount, and it's going to be you go to Medicare or Medicaid, the 120% for Medicare and the 170% of Medicaid. So it's not like saying you cannot use insurance,
Right.
but you can't just go in there and say, hey, we don't have insurance, and we went to this boutique doctor who's going to do an MRI that's going to charge this much, and physical therapy and chiropractor is going to cost this much, and this is what we're going to bill versus this is what we're going to pay out. You can't sit there and keep on bringing these inflated insurance claims or non-insurance billed out claims whenever that wasn't the fact.
How does this pair up with have you read Representative Glorioso's bill yet?
No, I haven't.
He's got one that's similar, but I think these two aren't the same thing, but I'm pretty sure they complement each other.
Okay. I'd have to look at it.
His bill says that the defense attorney in the case can call into question the difference between the two.
Okay.
So I think yours is basically doing the same thing, but going a little bit further.
Okay.
So
I'd have to read his bill. I have not had time.
well, like I said, it's
crazy.
day one. I mean, we gavel in 11 minutes from right now.
Yeah,
So
a lot of people think we just come to the Capitol and start on day one, and it's not the case. You work on these bills for weeks, if not months before, and then other bills that's coming to committee, you start talking to members as well on that.
if you don't mind, can you just give me an idea of what had to be tabled till next year?
Oh gosh,
If you've got it,
Brian,
if you've got it in your phone,
I have it in
just
my
as a
notes.
general idea.
Oh gosh, future ideas. I want to talk about the 5 parish inspection sticker. Honestly, when the little old lady from West Baton Rouge or Iberville or Ascension or East Baton Rouge and look, I'm oil and gas. I am pro oil and gas.
Yeah.
But we pay. It's a federal act. We pay an extra. I think it's $5 for the ozone because we have too much pollution here. But yeah, you have so much traffic that drives through here every single day. The little lady or the little old man that only drives 2,000 miles a year to go to the post office and back is not polluting the air. But yet they have to pay because of the pollution that's here. So
Okay.
that's one of them. Oh gosh, there was a stolen valor bill this year that we just couldn't get a member to carry. There's a federal law, but nothing is ever pursued on that. One of my biggest things, honestly, is going to be I'm doing it. I was very, very close to filing this bill. There was an Alabama bill that passed 100% through both chambers, and what it did was any kind of municipality that was writing over 10% of their budget and tickets went to a victim relief fund. I wasn't going to put it towards the victim relief fund. I was going to put it. Let me back up. The two young ladies that passed away in the high-speed pursuit.
Oh, yes.
I knew both of those girls, and it is still on my mind almost on a daily basis. But in creating a law, something that touches a lot of people, it takes time. And I'm still working on this, and I think this is where it's pushing me in the right direction, because every year we push our law enforcement through post-training to handle a weapon. But how many of them actually pull their weapon? And then how many of them actually use that weapon in the line of duty? Very, very small. But how many of them get in a vehicle every single day and pursue, and that we are failing them by not putting them through the proper training? So I want to work with law enforcement and see how, because there are agencies out there that are funding themselves. Addis has taken it up, and I'm proud of the mayor. I talked to him this past week. They are sending their law enforcement through high-speed pursuit training, and I commend him for doing that. And we need more. I don't ever want a state to come down and say, hey, you must do this. But if we're putting law enforcement in a vehicle to pursue, we need to make sure that they are trained, and we need to make sure that they are funded to put them through the proper training.
See, already teeing up next year's pregame show. When we do the opening day show next year, we know what's on tap there. He is State Senator Caleb Klein-Peter. Thank you so much for a couple minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Quick break. We ran a little bit long there, and it was well worth it. We'll continue next on Talk 107.3. Good?
You're clear.
All right. And yes, I did have the rejoin on that one. So whatever you did that time, let's keep it with that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, Brian, you there?
Now back to the state capitol with Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane on Talk 107.3.
All right. We got about 5.5 minutes until things are gaveled in. We got about an hour and 5 minutes until we are really up and running. We're going to take you up to the governor's address, the State of the State address. Kicks off the legislative session, and we've got it for you here on Talk 107.3 FM. It is slated for 1 p.m., but you know how things roll when they're live, when you're just off and running. Things can run a little bit long and or run a little bit short. Either way, we're taking you all the way up to the governor addressing the state with the State of the State address at 1 p.m. here on Talk 107.3 FM. By the way, we are on Facebook Live, and if you're watching us on, we're also on YouTube Live as well. And if you're watching us on either of those platforms, you know full well that I'm sitting by myself right now. See, this segment was supposed to be me and Moon going back and forth on his story about hitting 2 deer with his truck. And as of right now, that's not happening because he got called away before we sat down with Caleb Klein-Peter. And now I'm wondering what the nature of the conversation is on the back end. You might see in the background if you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. It says you see the governor's seal, the state seal back there with the office of the governor. We are in Governor Jeff Landry's conference room on the 4th floor of the state capitol, here to bring you everything that the upcoming session has to offer. Tell you what, since we've got a minute here, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of other things that we might not have otherwise talked about. I know Moon had Cade Brumley on his show. Education Secretary Dr. Brumley was on Moon's show earlier today. And I know that the Advocate put out an article talking about what will be on the agenda educationally or on the education front in this session per the Advocate's article. And I believe who penned this one here? That would be, Elise Carmesino. As Louisiana's next legislative session starts Monday, education bills are already filed by lawmakers, run the gamut from changing how schools are funded to making the ACT a graduation requirement instead of end-of-course exams, and overhauling eligibility requirements for TOPS scholarships. One of the things that Moon talked about in our opening segment that I think needs to be reiterated here is all of these bills, everything on an educational front, is going to kind of be pending what the federal government does. What's going on in Washington right now is going to have a big effect of what's going on in Louisiana right now. Elise goes on to say perhaps the most controversial education issue on the table is teacher pay. Let me just say right there, I know that everybody who worked on Constitutional Amendment number 2 is working on making that teacher pay raise permanent. And at $2,000 a year, I don't know about your household, but my household is never going to sneeze at making an extra $2,000 a year. I don't know how flush you are with cash, but I know $2,000 in my house would help. Okay. Now I know when you break that down month by month, it's not a lot of money month by month. But if I could look at the beginning of the year and say, how about paying off my property tax bill for the year? That would go a long way there. Now I've freed that money up within my budget. Yeah, I'm going to Dave Ramsey it, sure. But I look at things like a $2,000 raise in those terms, not in terms of like what percentage of my overall income is it, but how can it help? So I do know that while it might be controversial for us to try and free up money, especially on the heels of that money being freed up, being rejected, it might be controversial on that front, but we know it's being worked on. Aside from that, when it comes to funding TOPS, when it comes to funding the Gator Scholarship Program,
15.
When it comes to the funding of anything else they want to do educationally, and we need to keep our foot on the gas with so many of these programs. When it comes to all that, there's going to be a lot that's determined based off of what makes its way to us from Washington, D.C. Tell you what, we got to pause right here. We'll hit news on the back end. Hour 2's coming up next. Broadcasting live from the state capitol on Talk 107.3. I was 5850, right, John?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Because if you were talking to me, I couldn't hear you.
Wait, you couldn't?
Nope.
I wonder.
All right, so I got 6 minutes here.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Facebook, I'm going to step away for a quick sec.
Oh my God! You have something. Just for you. We cut a rejoin. I mean, just for you. I tell you what.
Appreciate it, man.
We are always on Facebook Live, and now we have volume on Facebook Live as well.
Hello, Facebook Live.
See, I turn down the volume from time to time when we're in break because there's you don't want I'm not the hot mic guy. That's not me. I'm not the gotcha guy.
You don't ever want to be the hot mic guy.
No, because it's great for 5 minutes. Oh, look who's back. Now I'm about to be the hot mic guy here.
Okay.
I'm about to be the hot mic guy.
It's opening day of the 2025 legislative session.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
So let's take you inside the Capitol, bringing you the interviews with lawmakers, insightful discussions, and analysis of what's to come for the next 3 months. Here are your hosts, Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane.
Session's officially underway right now. The gavel has been struck. Things are going on. Brian Haldane here with you. Moon Griffon has rejoined us.
More stuff than you think.
Oh, no. I cannot wait.
Most of this is off there, but I will be glad to talk to you.
Yeah. Once we get to our next break, we'll cut the mics again. We've also got Lana Venables with us from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. Welcome aboard. No. Afternoon. By the way, pull that up here.
Gosh.
I tried to
Pull that up a little bit.
Hey, Brian, let me say something. I tried to get her to see if they can sue a deer or wildlife and fisheries.
Yeah.
She's not helping
She's
her brother
going to
out.
put Tiger Joyce on you is what she's going to
I'm
do.
not the one to ask.
No, that's all right. We're in our second hour here, and the session is actually officially underway. We're walking you up to the governor's address at 1 p.m. ish. Lana, welcome aboard. How are you?
Glad to be here. Doing well, Brian. Ready for what promises to be a very exciting session. Lots of issues, lots of energy around the session. So looking forward to it.
All right, you being from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch, you're going to have your eyes on some of the more popular bills this session, to be sure. Probably some of the bigger fights of this session as well. Can we argue without fighting?
I certainly hope
That ain't
so.
happening.
I mean, I would like to think that we can. And you're right. And you've had some great guests on between both of you guys earlier this morning, talking about a lot of the reforms that they're proposing. And from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch's standpoint, I know that we're talking a lot about insurance.
Yes.
Obviously, right? That is the water cooler conversation. It's the kitchen table topic. It's the wallet issue, right?
Right.
It is. So not to take away from that, but we look at it as a bigger issue overall. Lawsuit abuse is a big problem, and the insurance crisis is just one of the most glaring examples of why it's a problem in Louisiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys both talk a lot too about our mentality of jackpot justice and winning the lawsuit lottery. And unfortunately, that really has become ingrained in our culture here in Louisiana. We are one of the most litigious states in the country. We're known for that. Our business climate has suffered because of that. I mean, we have had some fantastic new investments, which are great. But if we don't really address this from a larger perspective, it's going to hamper our ability to move forward as a state economically.
Every year the judicial hellhole report comes out, and that includes so much more than just car insurance. That takes us off the interstates, puts us on job sites, puts us on and I don't know, are numbers similar when it comes to like workman comp claims? Do we have the same number of, if you get to a car accident, our medical bills go up quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have more people go to the doctor based off of a car accident than the other state. That's more than doubled. Is it the same when it comes to other areas of slip and fall type suits?
That is a good question. I don't have the answer to that one, but I'll be glad to find that out and share it with you guys the next time. But what we do know is that when you see these billboards, all the advertising, it's everywhere. It really has permeated our culture, and certainly these attorneys are within their legal rights to do that, right? But I want to share just a stat that in the first quarter of last year, 2024 alone, this one quarter. The trial bar spent more than $20 million in advertising in Louisiana in one quarter.
That's amazing. And I was telling Brian, I love trial. I know a lot of trial lawyers that just play by the rules.
Yeah,
they're not no advertising. They just play by the rules. I get it. And he was telling me he thought the tort reform laws that we try to change has never adjusted anything, and I can't argue with it. But the one thing that he said that did stick to me was what you just talked about. He said, Moon, he said, I really believe they cut the advertisement out. It's people are seeing, hey, when I felt like Gordon got me $200,000, or Jim got me $400,000, or $150,000. He said, what it does is there's a lot of people in our state that are poor or working poor. And so they got a car note and a house note, and they're struggling to make in. Maybe they're behind on a house note or a car note, and they get hit. And they think, man, this is my one opportunity. There's probably a lot more suits they settle for $50,000 to $100,000. And if they get settled for $100,000 and get 50, that's $50,000 in your pocket. You don't have much. You don't have much money. And you now can catch my house note up and put a little bit back and do some things. He said it causes them by looking at those commercials to go, hey, you know what? I saw Brian Haldane was on TV and say, so-and-so got me $75,000 or $100,000. And it's not that they can always get $1 million because they don't.
Right.
But matter of fact, he told me he settled a $1 million case in 30 years. He said, I never even got close to even trying another one. He said, most of my cases were small, and most of them are. That's why he got so many. But he said it encourages people to go sue. You said just now, a culture. That's pretty sad that the culture is a lawsuit culture instead of a pro-business culture.
Right.
That's pretty sad. You said a culture is embedded. That's something that Brian, you come from a culture. You got a culture. You develop a culture between you and your bride and your children. Me and my wife been married 30 years. We have our own little culture.
Your way of doing things. Yeah.
And so you get used to doing something. Whether we're doing it right or wrong, it's not the point. This is our culture. This is what we do.
I don't think I've ever told you, Moon, my story about getting hit by an 18-wheeler.
Oh.
I'll tell you about it a little bit later on in the show. It's No attorneys involved. That's all I'll say for right now.
Yeah, we got hit by a deer. Never mind.
That's,
That's
that's another story
I
for
don't know if
later
I
on
want
the
to be
show.
around you two. If I'm driving, or whatever.
I'd rather get hit by a
I
deer.
got hit. I got hit. He hit some deer.
No, that ain't true. They ran across. It's their fault.
But I do want to say something though too, is that it is the trial attorneys are doing what they're legally allowed to do.
Correct.
That's how they're operating their business, and so you can't fault them for that. But it does go back to our civil justice system and the laws that we enact that allow these kinds of things to happen. That's where we have a chance to
Let me
change
ask you a
that.
question because I'm just curious. We got a lot of lawyers here. Per capita, we got probably the most.
We do.
But we don't. But if you look at it, how many of them really advertise? I'm not talking about putting on Facebook. I mean, that's all natural stuff. How many hit the billboards, hit the TV, hit the radio every day? I don't think it's that many.
Well, that
I might be wrong, but I don't think it's
well,
many.
no, you're probably right, but that goes back to another issue that really we've seen lately from September to what are we in now? April, I think it was in March or February or March. We've seen three what we term as nuclear verdicts. So these are verdicts that are beyond excessive, $10 million or more. I mean, that is staggering for just about any company, any business to get one shot at the apple and you get that kind of a damage award. But in Louisiana recently, we've had three. So we had one back in the fall in September that was, I think it was a $220 million verdict in a single case. Another we just had recently, $411 million. Yes, right here in at home. And then another that we don't necessarily put in this same classification, but is from one of the coastal lawsuits, the very first one to go to trial, and that.
That was only 750 million.
Yeah,
Three-quarters of a billion. Why not?
Right.
NPD.
So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying here, guys, is, we have to look at this from the broader perspective of, yes, in Louisiana, we are hyper-focused on insurance because that's our big issue.
Yeah.
But from a 30,000-foot view, we've got to address these, the advertising that has gotten us to this point. We've got to address the culture that allows these kinds of exorbitant awards, these kinds of lawsuits. And there was a quote in the Advocate today. I'm going to see if I can pull it up quickly and read this to you guys. There was actually an attorney from another state quoted in this article that said, in addition to its effect on the numerous other similar lawsuits pending in Louisiana, so there are 40 more that are yet to go to trial, it may inspire similar lawsuits in this country and around the world.
Oh, I agree. I think that's already coming. It's no doubt.
Is that what we really want to be known for in Louisiana? We are a state of industrious, hardworking people. We put our families first. We try to do the right thing. But this is what's leading our reputation in Louisiana.
Well, that's not
and we
good.
need to change that.
That's the culture you're talking about.
That's right.
Let's talk about the advertising for just a minute. We got a couple minutes left with Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. Let's talk about the advertising for just a couple minutes. And I know you got a scooch. I got an eye on the clock here. So, where do you draw the line between? There are some things that do need to be reined in, right? And Kim Carver's got a bill that I absolutely adore. Where do you draw the line between what needs to be reined in versus limiting free speech? Like, how do y'all walk that line?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's a fine line. And I, like several other people who have been on today, have said before, I am not an attorney. So I don't know how well I can speak to that. But I do know that you're right. There is a line there that has to be respected. But I think where we land at the end of the day is on transparency. Yeah. We are looking for transparency across the board. We want transparency in medical billing. We want transparency in lawsuit funding. We just want to know, people have a right to know who is suing them when it comes to third-party litigation funding, financing. And, and we want people juries to have the full information before they make a decision on a damage award, so that they know, hey, well, Moon hit a deer, but the deer's going to sue him for, a whole lot more.
I bet the third one might sue me. You know what? But let me go back to that, because one of the bills that they're filing is medical billing.
Yeah.
Versus what they really pay.
Oh, we covered that.
In a jury. I know, but
that was why you were going.
But check this out. That to me is the most easy common sense bill.
Oh, yes.
We're jury, and you're gonna tell me about $10 million, yet you only paid $200,000.
Yeah. Right.
And then we're gonna award it off 70. I mean, That's dumb. That's just stupid.
And-
By the
and-
way, but they're allowed to do it because that's what we have here.
That's right. And it's not fair. It's not
No.
fair to consumers. It's not fair to businesses. Because the other thing, when all these things happen, you create a system that's out of balance.
Right.
So our system in Louisiana is very
Good
out of
point.
balance. It leads to unpredictability. And if businesses say one thing that they are looking for every time that I've heard it, it is predictability.
Yep.
And so we can't ever provide that 100%. Obviously, but we want to do everything that we can, to get to that place.
Lana Vimble, you had a lunch to get to. I appreciate you staying over a
I'm
good
starving.
bit. Here.
Can I go with you?
Come on, let's go.
No, you missed enough of the show already.
I apologize, Brian.
All
I
right.
apologize.
She is Lana Vimble. Thank you so much for the time this morning. We always this afternoon. I always appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate y'all and glad to be here.
He is Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. We will continue next on Talk 107.3. All right, let's get.
All right, you're clear.
Thank you. How we looking, John? I can't say again.
What about Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Now back to the state capitol with Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane on Talk 107.3.
It's not the one I wanted. Okay. Now I got to make sure.
Why don't you just play it in between the break? Let me hear it.
I don't know.
I know it ain't gonna have the same effect.
John, can you do that? Can you play the first rejoin that we didn't hear? I want Moon to hear it because that one was written specifically for him.
Okay, I'll lower it. So
Yep.
That was rejoin 2. This is rejoin 1.
Where's rejoin 1? Go.
Moon Haldane, live from the Capitol for opening day of the 2025 legislative session on Talk 107.3.
Damn, it's only a 2-hour show. All right, fill that one out. Is there number 3?
Two guys taking steps in the right direction. Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane. Live from the Capitol on Top
That's a
107.3.
classic,
That's
brother.
the one.
That's a step in the right direction.
That one forever. Shout out,
I got to tell you, I like it. I love it.
shout out Cade Watson. Cade wrote that one.
Cade was, thank you, Cade.
Spot on.
I owe y'all lunch now, wherever y'all want to go.
All right. Let's take a step in the right direction. All right, we got a little bit of time left before we get out of here. In fact, wow, we got a lot of time. We got, 3 segments left here. Provided everything's on time. All right, so you were just on the other side of the 4th floor a minute ago. Everything's looking smooth. Everything's ready to roll.
Yeah, the governor's getting ready to make a speech.
Yeah.
He's really going to focus. And let's just tell people, I went to visit.
Yeah.
And I can't get into everything, but I just talking to him, there's going to be something in there for the insurance commission. There's going to be something in there for the trial lawyers. There's going to be something in there for you and me. It's an hour speech.
It is. Yeah.
It's going to be a speech.
I
It's gonna be a
did
while.
know it was an hour-long speech.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. So, and I would like to listen to it. Excuse me, Brian.
Bless you.
But it's like, and it's like me and you talked about, though. There's usually a lot of hope coming in here, and I still think there is.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think there's also some pessimism on, will everybody agree? Will we have a big a food fight? I tend to believe there'd be more of a food fight on insurance.
Yes.
If the federal government say, hey, guys, we got to cut out $250, $300 million, that's another food fight.
Mhm.
So it has a potential to have a couple of the biggest issues, and that's 2 of the biggest. As you know, you said, right, the budget probably bigger. Then that's when the heads are gonna hit each other. I just know this, Brian, that you played the watering down or a step in the right direction. One thing I really mean by that is that if you're taking tiny steps and everybody's 2 miles ahead of you, you're never gonna catch them. That's really all I mean. And I'm worried that let me ask you a question. If somebody's wee-weeing on your leg, if they tell you it's raining, don't you think you know the difference?
No,
that's what I'm worried about.
100% know the difference.
And I'm not talking about the governor.
But-
I'm talking about the whole process.
But you also have to know the difference between taking steps forward means you're not falling further behind. And it's up to them to know the difference between, okay, we've taken a step forward, but we're the same distance behind versus
Well,
we
that's
got
what
to
I'm
take
saying.
2 to every one of theirs.
But and that's why I think you got to have something big, bold, and beautiful.
Yes.
That sounds like Trump.
So it does.
Big, bold, and beautiful, because big, bold, and beautiful means, okay, we are definitely trying to run with the big boys.
Okay, now,
That's all. It's just that simple.
but let's pick it up from there on in the terms of what Governor Landry has done already. We had 4 sessions last year. All right. And I think we probably should sing the governor's praises a little bit, because when it comes to education, hey, look, it would have been very easy for Jeff Landry to come in following John Bell Edwards and just clean the slate. Say everybody who was even close to John Bell Edwards is gone. That would mean Kay Brumley was going to be gone. But Governor Landry said, no, I see where this guy's going. I want to stay. I not only want to stick with him, I want to double down to make sure he has what he needs along the way. And we've seen results from it.
Bessie put in that out the governor. Okay. I know they got power. The governor got power. And he puts 3 people there, but the Bessie board had most of those won elections that put Cade there.
Yes, from John Bell
Remember,
Edwards.
you got 11, but you got 8 that were elected, 3 were appointed.
But that's when he got in with John Bell Edwards. I'm saying from Jeff
He did
Landry,
get in. That's correct.
Right.
That is correct. Yes,
Jeff
sir.
Landry kept him, though. That's my point. Is it would have been very, very easy for Jeff Landry to say, I want a clean house.
Well, and the Bessie board would have had to do that.
All right. So big win number 2. And I think this is really big wins number 2, 3, 4, and 5 at this point. Susan Bourgeois is Economic Development Secretary. That woman is printing money for the state right now. She's bringing in job after job after job. This is also because of the Jeff Landry administration. So he's winning on education. He's winning on economic development. What I want to see happen in this session, and I don't know that it will, can we look at insurance and say it's just insurance? Like, we want the win here, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've gotten a lot done on every other front. This front is unbelievably frustrating. This front costs us money. This front is important, but it's only one front in the overall battle.
Yeah, and I think crime is something they're going to say.
Oh, big time.
And another one which goes along with crime is, we had that disaster on what was it, New Year's Eve night?
New Year's night. Morning, yeah. It's
disaster. They went in there with a Super Bowl coming in, and they kicked the rear end. They did. They did, and so that kind of set the tone in New Orleans. We had a Mardi Gras. I didn't hear one incident.
No.
I don't mean somebody didn't get shot, but that happens all the time everywhere.
Well,
but it just the governor has a lot of positives to go with a few negatives.
yes.
And I told you one of them I thought was the Clearfields district. The second one, if you look at the amendments, there were a lot of people that didn't like it because they didn't vote for it. And now you got insurance in the session coming up. I'm just saying this is the one I think out of everything we've done. The only thing better than this is jobs, because people need jobs. They need good paying jobs.
Right.
But people want to break on his insurance, Brian. I got my bill in
I'm with you.
the other day, and I thought, this you make a little bit of money, and then all of a sudden you lose it back on the insurance. And I think people want to see difference. The other thing about insurance rates that people probably don't realize is that when we had all this high inflation under Joe Biden, if a car was costing 30 and now it's costing 35 or 40, guess what? You're paying high insurance rate on your car because your car's worth
right.
more.
But the insurance increase we blamed on the tort reform. Or like folks like
Yeah,
Real Reform Louisiana,
But
like they blamed it on the tort reform. But we had the little thing called the pandemic where you went a whole time where nobody was driving, and then you had everybody started driving again and couldn't get a new car, and they couldn't get a used car, and they couldn't get the parts for your car.
Yeah,
right.
Supply, demand,
chain,
and inflation. And then all that. I mean, if you buying something for $10,000, it's going to be. I give you an example. I had an old boat that was 24 years old. My insurance on that boat, that's to cover if I ever hit something. Okay, was $279. I bought a new boat. The insurance on it is $634 or $734. It's a new boat versus an old boat. One's worth 3 times to 4 times the money. I'm gonna pay it's 3 times more the money. My insurance rate's 3 times more. Why? Because the boat's more expensive.
Right.
So we got some of that going on too. Getting back to the trial lawyers, and got a lot of friends that are trial lawyers that they just playing by the game and the rules. I get it.
Yeah.
It's the billboard and the TV ones that I get concerned about because
they're playing by the rules too, though.
I know they are. But let me tell you something. Because of the way we set up and the money they make, and then they start getting involved in the governor's race, Supreme Court race, judges' races, because they got money to play with. That's all I'm saying. That's what bothers me when they get that far ahead. They become the big players.
Tell you what, we got 1 minute till break. After the break, we're going to come back, and we are going to talk a lot more. Moon's going to tell his full deer story there. I mean, you've been telling in pieces so far.
You got to listen to this, and man, this is like shock burger.
I tell you what, I will. Well, don't say burger. I don't want to know where that meat came from.
I'd eat a deer burger right now. All you got to do is
you brought the deer home, right? No. Okay. Oh, thank you. The way you were telling me this morning, I thought like there was some.
Well, what I did was I told you a great trip this week. You said what? I said I ended up with 5 bass and 2 deer.
Yeah.
So you thinking I brought it home?
I thought there was some redneckery going on. Is what I thought.
Had I been living up there, I'd had me 2 deer.
All right. So let's break for news.
All right.
We'll come back on the back end and pick things up again. I'm timing this out to where we hit ABC on time. I don't even know if we're carrying ABC. Anyway, he's Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. We're walking you up to the governor's address. The State of the State address is coming your way. It unofficially kicks off the 2025 regular legislative session. We'll continue next on Talk 107.3. We good?
All right, you're clear.
Cool.
Yep.
How we looking, John?
Got a few more, about a minute.
Minute? Okay.
Two guys taking steps in the right direction. Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane. Live from the Capitol on Talk 107.3.
Which means we're about 25 minutes away from the governor hitting the podium. Get things on. Quickly, 5 legislative session coming your way. We're going to see you here on Talk 107.3 FM. I got Moon Griffon with me for, actually all the way up until the governor talks, right?
Yes, sir.
We're done.
If I don't leave
now.
again.
Yeah, well, you're not leaving again.
I apologize, but I felt bad about that because we did it together, and I thought, well, you get a call, you go check it out, and you were nice enough to let me go, and I appreciate it.
Well, it's so the back end of the story is I lost my voice last Wednesday.
Who you hollering at?
Do what?
Who you hollering at?
I just fatigue, allergies, all of it combined.
Yeah,
I woke up on Wednesday. I went to bed Tuesday night and I had a voice. I woke up on Wednesday morning and I was a mute.
You got somebody sitting?
Nope, I did the show.
I've done that many times. That's tough too.
But like I had to, how if you do an impression of somebody, you have to retrain your voice to hit somewhere different on the vocal. So that's what I could barely get that done.
Yeah, but that was 3 hours, huh?
I was 3 hours on Wednesday, 3 hours on Thursday, 3 hours on Friday. I'm almost back to normal now. Almost.
Did you shut up on the weekend and eat and drink and be merry?
Yeah. I shut up on no. Come to think of it, the weekend was spent at my daughter's AAU tournament in Bellchase. So
did y'all just stay there? Y'all went back?
We went back and forth.
What so you want to hear my story?
Yes, I want to hear your story.
Okay, so as you know, I'm an avid fisherman, a bass fisherman.
Yes.
I love the saltwater fish too, but so I took off. You see me take off about once a month for about 4 or 5 months to go fish tournaments. And so I took off, and I took off on a Thursday, and I went to my buddies in Lake Caney and spent the night, but I actually fished on Claiborne.
Okay.
So Claiborne was about an hour and 10 minutes away. So Friday morning, I got up. I left early. It was dark. I'm getting into Claiborne Parish, and I have seen deer on the road. I have ran by deer. They never hit. And I was driving, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it'd be like the car running a stop sign.
Yeah.
Okay. I went, oh, my God. When I said that, it was over. I'm talking about $3. I'm talking about big deer.
Yeah.
I missed one by the tip of his tail, but I hit the other two. And one of them and both of them died. I mean, they got killed on the road. Yeah. But one of them that I hit, Brian, I think I killed Rudolph.
Uh-oh.
Well, I hit the deer so hard. I was going probably 50. I think the deer must have tried to jump when he trying to get me, doing everything he can. God bless him. Yeah. When I hit him, he literally, somersault in the air. He had to go in there 15, 20 feet.
Oh,
he went straight up to the right. I saw it in disbelief of a flying deer.
Right.
It went flying. The other one must have hit his head on the side. And I still went 50, 100 yards because it was no place. If you ever been in North Louisiana, you got these Bailey roads, the woods right there on top of you. They ain't no drive off the road.
Right.
So I went far enough. There was a little country church, and I pulled in the parking lot. I went, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I thought, I didn't kill my truck. I let it run. I killed it. I turned it back on. It didn't sound bad. I said, let me go see what the front damage was. The front was gone. Yeah. What I mean by that was the grill, all that messed up. The bumper was messed up. They had something on the tire. And I'm saying it's stunned. Radiator is back a little bit. You couldn't open the hood. And so I took all that grill. I didn't think it'd be nice to leave it in people's parking lot.
Right.
So I picked it all up, every piece, and threw it in the back of the truck. I had to cut a piece of rubber deal on it. It's amazing how instant life can change on you. I know of stories, people in cars, they go through the windows. buddy of mine had a friend of his that a deer went through and broke his neck, and he ended up dying. You don't think about all that till it happens, but
Right.
it happens so quick.
Yes.
And so I did not do good in the tournament. I don't blame it on that, but I got to believe psychologically, I thought about that a lot. I thought about, God have mercy. So I didn't know if I could sue the state, the parish, the deer.
Yeah.
The deer that got away was the only eyewitness besides me.
Well, we would be suing what, ag and forestry?
Yeah, I guess so.
Get ready, Mike Strain.
Yeah, I'm looking to for a good lawyer to get it done.
See.
Actually, my job when I leave here, I'm glad because after the program you have right here on 107.3 FM, Governor Landry's going to speak.
Yes.
And you're going to have it live, and that's an awesome thing. So I'll get to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'll get to listen to the speech, and I'm glad.
On your drive home in your jacked up truck.
Yeah, that's right. I came in my wife's car,
Uh,
and she called me and said, "What time are you coming back?" I said, "I'm going to come right back." She said, "Good," because I don't want to stay at the house no more today. So, but anyway,
Right.
So I got it done, and now I got to do insurance, and I'm taking care of all that. It's just a matter of dropping and going to get a rental car.
all right. Back into COVID, right?
Yeah.
We're talking, I guess it's late 2021.
2020, 2021. Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, all around August 2021. At the time, I was driving a Ford Focus. All right. A little bit
Small vehicle.
Yeah, small silver hatchback. I found myself on 10 eastbound in between Acadian and College in the blind spot of an 18-wheeler. All right. And I'm in the left-hand lane. And anybody who knows that stretch knows you have that concrete barrier right there. He starts moving over. I hit my horn. He's not seeing me nor hearing me. He keeps moving over. I get pinned in between the truck and the barrier there. Ton of damage to the car, to the sides. No damage
You were
to me.
good?
I was good.
You like me? You were good.
No, I was not physically hurt at all. The trucker pulls over, gets out. First question out of his mouth, is there anybody else in the car? Because he can see I'm already out of the car and I'm vertical and whatnot. Is there anybody else in the car? I was like, no, it's just me. He's like, oh, okay, good. Just want to make sure everybody's okay. And I'm like, yeah, no, I think I'm good. So he's assessing the damage, looking at my car, and he's like, man.
You didn't have a neck brace in the back of the truck to put on?
Not.
Like
with a big G logo on it. Gotta stop picking on the one guy. All right, a big E logo on the side of it. All right. I gotta stop picking on him. He's a good guy.
I don't mind.
I like him. I like him.
I don't mind picking on him because some of them are really good guys.
Yeah, and he is. He's one of the good ones. So he's like, man, I hate to ask this, but is there any way we could settle this man to man? And I was like, how do you mean? That's a lot of damage right there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm an independent trucker from New York. And if I have an accident on my record, it's probably going to kill me on the insurance. It's definitely going to kill me on the union dues. And I'm going to be out of business as an independent trucker because the unions in New York, they're looking to push you towards the big trucking companies and not working on your own. I was like, all right, let me think about this for just a quick second. I mean, we're sitting there in the left hand, like in the off lane right there.
Coming.
Traffic's coming. So I've only got a moment to decide. And I'm like, let me take pictures of your driver's license, your license plate, all of your insurance information from top to bottom. I want every piece of information I can have on you and on my car itself.
Oh, was your car movable?
My car was movable, but it was thinner.
Oh, yeah.
So no more side view mirrors. A lot of scrapes along the way, along the side and whatnot, both sides. So all in, about $9,000 worth of damage to the car. It's a Ford Focus. I mean, it's barely like it should have been. Probably should have totaled it out, but I wasn't going to get enough in that. If I totaled it out with my insurance, I wouldn't have got enough for a new car. So got a buddy who runs a collision center. I'm like, look, we're not doing this through insurance. What's it going to take to get it fixed? Because I'm not going to be able to get a new car out of it. And his first question to me is, why aren't you doing insurance? So I explained the situation. Moon, I tell you, each and every person I talk to, everyone called me an idiot. Why? Why aren't you suing him? You can get a big old fat paycheck out of that.
See what I mean? Culture.
Why is it that you don't have a neck problem or a back problem? And the truth of the matter is,
they're telling you to go for the money.
Yeah, I've got a back problem, but I had the back problem before the accident. I got my right knees all jacked up since high school baseball. That's before the accident. Hey, Housley principle, we might want to get rid of that one. But each and every person that I talked to was like, you're a moron for not suing them because you can get paid. And I'm like, is that what it's about?
But that goes to the culture.
Every month, that guy Venmo'd me actually. Every month, that guy Venmo'd me what we agreed upon until he was completely paid out. until he was completely paid out and I was made whole.
You were made whole. What else you want?
Yes, that's all I wanted.
Yeah, but Brian, you got the moral part right. I think morally, you did 100% the right thing. To me, that's more important than doing the money part.
But like the money part is, I mean, this guy's, he's a husband and a father. Like, so this happened in it was August. By that December, I was like, dude, hey, listen, I don't want to push this off, but at the same time, I know you got a daughter and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you want to take off and not pay me in December and just roll it over till January, I don't want to ruin Christmas. And he was like, no, Mr. Brian, I want to get this done. I want to.
So what he did, spread $9,000 out over a few months.
over a 12-month period. So,
but you were made whole.
Made whole.
I think
and
you did the right thing for the Haldane family. That's what I think you did.
So, mano a mano, we just settled things like men. The Collision Center was very generous to put me on a payment plan to where money came to me, money went to them, right? So
once again, there's another great business right there.
But like where is that in our society today that where that shouldn't be astounding. Nobody should hear that story and think, man, that's pretty incredible. That should be the norm, Moon.
Actually, Brian, I can give you one really quick story if you got to go to break. It happened. I want to say my son didn't want his insurance to go up. I'm pretty sure. Walker's probably listening. Well, no, Walker's not listening. I'm out on my program on you. Yeah. And I went to him and said, look, I don't want this going on his record. I said, I want to pay cash. Tell me what I need to do. I wasn't worried about bodily harm. None of that happened.
Right.
And so I went to him, and so what happened was I had somebody I knew in the business like you, and they told me it was going to be X amount of dollars. They went to do the estimate. They did all that. And I said, you mind if I brought them to my body shop? And they said, they knew that body shop as well. Be glad to. And I went to the body shop, and I asked them, would they make me a deal? And I think what happened was I actually bought some advertisement for them.
Okay.
It ended up costing me some cash, but not nearly as much as it was.
Right.
So they got whole. I paid some. I was able to get a new advertiser to pay the rest. And that's how I did the whole thing. So, yes, I was out some money, but they were made whole. And so how about a body shop like that that said, I'll work with you, man. Be glad to want you to. Because he said first thing was, hey, man, I listen to your program, which was good. He said, why don't we do some advertising? I said, how much you want to trade? And I think he traded 50, 60% on. I paid him whatever it was. So yeah. I may have been out $1,200 or something like that. So it wasn't bad. I mean, people can work on things if you try.
Anywhere you go in the world, people will tell you Louisiana is great because of the people.
Absolutely.
So why is it we go out of our way to make sure that the people aren't part of the process anymore?
That's a great question.
Man.
But I'll tell you what you did with that guy was big, and he was honest. You dealt with, when two honest people come together, look what can get done.
Right.
If you don't have two honest people, look what can get done in the wrong way.
Exactly. We got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I say we got one break to go, but honestly, when we get back from this break, we're going to have one more break where we can ID the station at the top of the hour. I want to make sure we get that done before we join the governor. So he's Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. We'll continue next on Talk 107.3.
Clear.
Scott McKnight, good to see you there, brother.
Now back to the state capitol with Moon Griffon and Brian Haldane on Talk 1073. Moon Haldane, live from the Capitol for opening day of the 2025 legislative session on Talk 1073.
All right, I got one eye on the camera right now. Speaking to Million. Reading off bills and committee. They're rolling right now.
I would think some of those bills they Senate are some of the big bills we've been talking about for the last year.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're knocking out all of them. Everything's getting told out the committee right now.
The one committee that's got everybody bothered that want to change insurance is Jude A in the Senate.
Jude A is where all the good bills go to die.
I had Kirk Talbot on this morning. He said, he's the insurance commission. He said, well, I'm not going to get a lot of those bills. He said, Jude A will. I said, if Jude A gets it, we're dead.
Yep.
Jude A will pass something watered down.
Yeah.
They're not going to pass the real deal. I don't think they will.
They're just kind of play by play. Is that McFarland talking to? That's Representative McFarland talking to Speaker DeVilliers right now.
Yeah.
They should be just about done though. With or do they pause for the?
They'll probably
speech?
pause, but the pause might be for hours.
Yeah,
because you got the governor. They go to lunch. They do all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, a lot of them already went to lunch. I don't think, Brian, I could be wrong, but I don't think they get much more done. You got a lot of parties, a lot of lobbyist parties, and all that cranking up.
Today's rundown. Are you kidding me?
That's what I mean. So I think today's an easy day. They let the governor speak. They go to the parties. They talk among themselves, and then tomorrow they get back down to business.
So easy day from the perspective of there's not a whole lot that's demanded of their votes,
correct,
or their voice, but definitely of their time, because I mean there's a rundown.
I'm just saying you talking about parties, get-togethers. Yeah. No, their time is
Republican
boom, boom, boom,
legislative delegation reception. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 different receptions. No, that was earlier this morning. 8 different receptions that are still to come today.
Yeah.
As far as just it's,
what they do is, Brian, I think they all get back into town. They don't see each other once the session's over much.
Right.
Let's stay friends, or they come to committee meetings. So they all get back together. They hugging, they talking, they throwing some stuff out like this. This is done, but just minor stuff. And then the governor comes in, and that's the grand poobah.
Right.
Once the governor speaks, I think it's party time. In other words, they go on party and rest and get around. And I think they do all that. And then tomorrow they wake back up, and then you start having committee hearings as early as tomorrow.
And let's
by the way, they may be gone. Remember where we headed to now. Sunday's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
They're going to work today, and a couple of days they're going to be gone.
So I would give them probably till Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be the last good day. I'm sure they're meeting on Thursday, but I mean, it
just hit me that I'm not working Friday. We're going to have a show, but it's going to be a tape.
Yeah, we're going to have a best of on Friday as well.
I can't, people told me I couldn't call none of mine a best of, so I don't.
We still do. I don't know why. We're going to have what we call an encore presentation on Friday. So yeah, I do have one eye on the clock here just to make sure we're good to go. And we will, of course, have to ID the station as well. Got to stay in line with the FCC. I don't know if anybody's working over there anymore or not.
Well, Brian, it's only a 60-day session. They can only present 5 bills outside of fiscal stuff.
Right.
And so
while you were out, okay, Senator Kleinpeter, while you were across the other side of the floor here, he was talking about that. He pulled out his phone. Senator Kleinpeter's already got 4 bills ready for almost ready for next year as well. He's going to put together he wants to broaden out how many bills they can bring forth within a fiscal session. And I love Caleb.
I believe they'll
have an
pass
uphill
that.
battle. You think they will?
Well, they all want to. Brian, I like the fact that we can't have all them bills. You have 4,000
Same.
bills in a session.
Same.
And then when you're talking about money, that becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
But they might just to put a few more bills on there.
But see,
they may limit it.
He read off 3 more bills that he was going to bring this session. He
That he
read off
could.
3 more, and all 3 of them I would have voted for.
But then you got to wait
all
another
3
year.
were good. I
But
know.
you know, the Texas legislature meets once every 2 years.
Yeah. You
I
think
like
we get away with
that.
that?
I like it.
I love it.
like, you know how they all want pay raises and all that? If you work once every other year, except for your committee stuff, that's a pay raise because you won't have to do as much the next year.
There were
That's all. I'm
fewer,
just saying,
fewer
as
bills to
much.
file. No, I'm with you on that front. I just
I
when
wonder how they do it every other year with so much going on in people's lives.
I don't know. I legitimately don't know, because can you imagine a day where a lawmaker in Louisiana didn't want to make a law? I'm
gonna tell you what. Collectively, I worry about them. Individually, we know some of them. They good guys. They take care of their business at home.
Oh yeah.
But collectively is when I worry about them.
Yeah.
You put them all together. That's when they're not as good as we know them personally.
Right. And I can see that as well. But it's because when they get together, they have to play nice amongst one another. And that's one of the bigger questions I have about getting somewhere on the insurance front. Is you said it earlier. It's going to get ugly. But shouldn't we get ugly as grown? Well, I don't want to say grown men, because there's men and women, but as grown-ups, shouldn't we able to get ugly and
you gotta
know
remember
that if I'm coming at a position, I'm not coming at a man, and not take it personal.
But we got to remember, there's the insurance side, there's a trial lawyer side, there's
right?
The governor side, there's a representative side. And then you got the lobbyist side. I mean, you've got so many things going in different directions.
I understand,
and they got to collide to go in the same direction. If they don't go in the same direction, we don't get anything. That's tough.
The direction they've never gone in is the one we need to go in, though. And it's like, how hard is it to say, let's just try it? Let's just try it.
I'll be honest with you. The governor told me the same thing. He said, we keep doing the same thing, we get different. Why can't we try something different?
Yeah.
And there's a bill to put power in Tim Temple's hand. There's a bill. I'm just telling you. And the governor is one of the ones that's helped propose that. He's going to talk about that in his speech today.
I want to learn more about that to see what that power looks like. I got to dig up that
bill. The bill is written, but I don't have the number.
Yeah, I gotta find it and then look it up, because there might be something to that, right? Because as the insurance commissioner, he's not in charge of setting rates. The insurance companies decide when and where they want to play, right?
Correct.
They don't have to do business here. But should it be part of the insurance commissioner's job to say, if you don't hunt, you don't eat?
Then there's one that says less accountability for the insurance commissioner. The bill would make him accountable to the governor instead of people.
Tell you what, let's go ahead and break it right here. We got a very, very short break. It's going to be a minute 10 second break. We got to check our ID. We're not going to join ABC News at the top of the hour. John, on the back end of the break, just bring it right back to me and Moon. You can stay in our ear to let us know, walk us up to you should have the governor coming out of the board in just a little bit. So quick break. We'll continue next on Talk 107.3. I think so.
Right, clear.
You know, he's a lot better than John Bell was about being on time. Yeah.
Got up there, it was a little bit after 1, he still wasn't there yet. I waited till probably 1:30 for something started speaking.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian?
Hang on. Yeah, John.
So as far as the governor stuff, that's just going to play through the stack, right?
Huh? Is Cade there? Cade can help you out. The governor's going to be coming out of the LRN pot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem then. As long as I know that.
Yeah, we should still be in whatever the board. We should still. We should be in live board until the governor's over with.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Unless Cade built something out in the log that sends it to LRN, but I don't think LRN's going to do anything command-wise on the back end to take it back over again.
They haven't put anything out yet. So.
LRN? Yeah, DeVillier's putting stuff in his pockets, so he's probably going to walk off in a second. So I'm watching the video feed right now, but I thought DeVilliers introduced everybody. Or does the sergeant at arms do that?
Hi, Brian. So you good?
Yeah, I'm good. We're just gonna take it. We're gonna vamp, but you should get the feed before we get the feed. So as soon as you get the feed, because I'm on the internet, so I'm gonna be delayed for about 40 seconds. What I'm watching happened
Okay.
40 seconds ago.
Does he want to come back? Are you trying to come back?
Yes, we're coming back so that we can walk it all the way up to the governor.
Okay.
Hey, Bo. Gordy didn't sit still very long.
All right, so I'll
Yeah.
let you come in here at 2 after.
Do what?
Can you come back at 2 after the news here?
Perfect. Yes, I can.
All right.
It's a perfect date. Huh? It's a perfect date.
Okay.
Hit the load playlist at 2 after. That's going to load the breaking news playlist where the board is live.
Oh, which one?
It's in the log already. The next play button in the log.
Oh, this
On the stack. On the stack.
Oh, right here?
See where it says under executive workflow?
Yeah. Oh, right here?
Yep.
Oh.
At 2 after.
All right. Anything still happening on Facebook? We appreciate y'all for hopping in.
Do I need to-
Scott says lots of procedure for the first 2 to 3 days, reading the bills in the record, assigning bills to committee. Yep, that part I know. That's and they picked that back up after the governor's done too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Moon Haldane, live from the Capitol for opening day of the 2025 legislative session on Talk 107.3.
All right. Here's the part where we need everybody there with us. Alongside Moon Griffon, Brian Haldane here with you. We are broadcasting live from the conference room on the 4th and a half floor. I love that. Is it your conference room 4.5? Because you're on 4, but we got to come up a half.
Come up
flight
a
of
half.
stairs.
Flight. That's right.
That feels like more than half a flight.
I got to tell you, that was carrying equipment wasn't easy.
Yeah, no. I know I had
my
crawfish
bad
over the weekend.
knees, man. I'm going just hurting.
Yeah. So we're in the governor's conference room right here. This feels like kind of the war room, man. You got the screens everywhere going
You
on.
got screens. You got chalkboards over there, or whatever kind of boards you call them.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
dry-
call
dry
it chalk.
erase.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't. And I mean, you got the whole conference table here with the communications down the middle and whatnot. I mean, this is pretty legit. We're all tucked away.
I had never been in there. When they told us we was having to be in another room, I went, I don't want to do that. And then when I was in the other room, the one we normally in, the big press conference, there were people rolling in there by the time I come see y'all. So
I like that, man. I like the action.
Wait, there?
Yeah, I like the action.
No,
and the
I was going
ambiance.
to tell you, I would have just soon sat in here. And that way we was already here.
Yeah.
But when they did it, I said, man, I hope Ron's in a decent room. You're in a good room.
Well, no, we're in a good room.
You
It's
just don't have any people. You don't have to flow.
Right. I want part of the field to know what's going on in the building right
Well,
now. And in that other room, they got it. But we couldn't do that today.
I apologize
No.
because I got a text yesterday saying, hey, Moon, what time's your show going through? I said, no, we're going to 1 with Brian Haldane. She said, the governor's wife wanted to do a press conference on some fundraiser or something they were doing. And they said, we can't, by 11 o'clock, y'all have to be out of there.
Yeah.
So I said, hold up just a second. She said, no, I got Brian covered. Said, we'll put y'all in this is the room they put us in. But no, it was the governor's wife. And
Right.
this was the last second thrown together.
Do you know the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Okay. The press conference is talking about a fundraiser and honoring the families of the victims of the terror attack from January 1st.
I did. I
See,
know that.
and as soon as Kate said that, I was like, yeah, no, move us. Absolutely.
No. I said,
I don't want to be in the way. I don't want to be in the
they were letting
background.
us
I don't
come.
wanna be
Had I
anywhere near it.
broadcast in here with you,
Yeah.
would have been fine with me. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. That's just bigger room. And they did. They had people come by. They would just like last year, come by, shake your hand. How y'all doing? Listen to you. You'd
part
have
of
had the
it, man.
same thing. And
It's
we
part of it.
didn't get that here because nobody knew you were sitting there.
Yeah. Well, plus you got to go down like 4 different hallways and up a half a flight of stairs.
You got to get through that big state trooper down there. And they got a
big state
and they
trooper.
got a darn code. You got to know we wasn't gonna get the code,
Yeah,
so
no,
you had to ask to be let up here.
Look, I'm respectable in the gym, but I guarantee you that guy can bench a Buick. That state trooper down there,
He can do what?
bench a Buick.
I wasn't going to ask. I wasn't going to mess with him.
I'm telling you.
Not only was he look strong, he had a bigger gun than I got on my side.
Well, that's true too. Well, in this building, that's a one-sided fight to be sure. All right, we got. We're counting you down here. We still got. I'm looking at. We're looking at the room right now. We're keeping an eye on it as they get ready. Moon, let's step away from the budget fight, which is going to be a big.
Interesting.
Because how many different angles are you going to have to come back at? Look, they did not sell CA2 long enough. We started here 3 weeks before the election, really got that full frontal assault 2-3 weeks before the election to go out and vote for Constitutional Amendment number 2. That being said, there should have been from January 1 all the way through election day. We should have been hearing every day.
You know, they bought some advertising with me. When they bought it, they said, we should have started this 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And that was the exact words to me that he said, we should be pushing this way harder than we're doing it. You hit it on the head. It was not pushed enough. You know what I'm hearing, O'Brien?
Well,
I'm hearing they're coming back with it. Remember, it was
They're gonna have
115 pages?
Yeah.
That's what I was told. I'm laughing because I don't think this part's true. They said, oh, they redoing it. It's going to be 120 pages. I said, huh? That was the exact thing I did. But they said they might bring it as early as the fall. Now, I had John Kay on, and John Kay said, Moon, I don't know if that's true. Because I was heard from somebody saying they're coming back in the fall, and somebody else said they're going to wait till next spring again, which don't make any sense when you got beat in the spring when nobody showed up. You know,
well, nobody's showing up this fall either, though. This fall, we don't have anything else on the ballot.
Now you got football season on the side of the election.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, November fall election, and it's not the governor's race, which we only had 36% show up last time.
Right.
That ain't the best time to that's not the best time to have an election on a LSU playing Alabama or whatever. It's not the best time. I'm not saying they're playing. I'm saying if they were playing something like Alabama, Ole Miss, people are going to watch the game.
It'll be October, so it'll be a conference game to be sure. So, but my thing is, a lot of people were saying people got confused because there was too much in the bill. There wasn't a matter of confusion. It was a matter of when you have that much in one bill, you've got so many people out there that can help divide and conquer your base. So many people.
But Brian, you know what's sad? Did you see when they did the United States, the state constitution?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was a lot bigger bill.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what was on the ballot, huh?
What?
Do you see the wording?
No.
Can you give me a second?
Yeah, go for it.
When I show you what's on the ballot, you're gonna go, huh? I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick for you. And I apologize. I wish I knew right where to go. It was like 20 words.
For the state constitution?
Watch, I'm gonna show it to you. It basically said, do you support the Constitution as being presented? That's it. Yes or no, for or against. There was no other words.
That's the way it should be.
But what I'm saying is that we bickered about a 115-page bill,
Yeah.
but we didn't bicker about how many pages it was then. I think the bickering was because how fast they tried to do it.
So, but like, what's the proper amount of speed? What's the proper amount of turn? Yes, sir.
Governor's coming on.
All right, I tell you what. Yeah, I'm looking.
How about if I send it to you?
I'm looking to clap it right now. We got to wrap it up. He's Moon Griffon. I'm Brian Haldane. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for playing along on Facebook. Here comes Governor Jeff Landry. All right, Facebook, we're going to get out of here as well. It's been a long day. The governor's over on Talk 107.3 right now. Hopefully you can check that out. And I'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 6. He'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 9. We'll see y'all.